Alright, now if you try to check the logcat, you will find that the camera session state is open, and this ID is probably the back, and second is front, and we only care about the back. So we have the state is open, but even so it's open, or if the bottom sheet is expanded or not expanded, it's just open. But let's say we just close this app now, you will find that as it's closing, then it's closed. So when on stop is being called, then the state of the camera is being closed, and that's because we're pointing the camera to the life cycle owner. So when on stop happens, the camera is released. But that's not the behavior that we want. We want to make a behavior where when we drag, the camera is visible, but when it's collapsed, when it's collapsed, then we don't want to show the camera, so we really don't need to use the camera. So how can you do this? If you went down to your layout tree, and we need to select the process, I'm just gonna select the process, this one, which is the package name of your app. Like if you have a different name, you will find the package name. Right, now we have this one is the same as this one, but this is the compositions layout that we have. It's a composition tree that we have. So we have home app bar and home content, home bottom sheet, and the content of home bottom sheet. Alright, and this home bottom sheet content has right below it, we have this peak box, which is represented by this one, this rectangle. Then we have the text, and we have the camera, and each one is working just fine. Like each one has its own like non-draggable, and so yeah, it's available in the composition tree. And if we dragged it, it's just the same. It doesn't really change. It doesn't really recompose or anything. It is the same. It's working the same. So we need some way to hide this compose. So in order to do this, go in your home bottom sheet. We're gonna make if bottom sheet is expanded, then we won't show camera box. Otherwise, we show this empty box, and we will move this camera. And the bottom sheet is gonna be a boolean, and I will do the same for this one, and I will just give it as argument. Now go back to your home screen, and we're gonna pass the home bottom sheet expanded, and I will just pass the state for now, which I will fix later on. Alright, so now at the top bar, I'm just gonna make a bottom sheet state, and it's gonna be, remember, state of bottom sheet state with initial value of collapsed. Now I want a state for the whole bottom sheet scaffold. So I'm gonna say bottom sheet scaffold state, and it's gonna be, remember, scaffold bottom sheet state, and we will add the bottom sheet state as bottom sheet state here. And now we need to pass the bottom sheet state to this scaffold. I'm not sure the name of the state. Yes, it's scaffold state. Scaffold state, and this one. Alright, and now we need to pass here bottom sheet state is expanded. Yeah, now we just send if the bottom sheet is expanded or not. Right, so Now let's rerun the app again and let's look at the layout inspector. Right now we have this one, and this is the previous. Now after updating the layout, let's look now. We have our column, but now our column has an empty box and doesn't have our camera. Right, so now our layout, if you try to drag it, it doesn't have a camera. But now after opening them, now we have a camera. Let's just increase the database, and now recomposition has been ignored for the peak and the, but for home bottom sheet content, recomposition has changed. This column is a composition and this one is ignored. You just click on it, number of time recomposition has been skipped, and this one has been recomposed. All right, now if we close this one, we find that now we have our empty box. If you didn't really notice again, I'm just going to repeat the same step. Camera box, empty box. All right, so now we have deleted our camera. So now our camera shouldn't be working. Now I'm just gonna minimize this, and I'm gonna open the logcat. If we went down, our camera session is still open. It is open, it has never closed. Okay, but I'm just gonna drag unknown, it's closing. Right, so let me just, because I think it has some kind of pub recreation, like alright, so if you have noticed, we have closed it, then we reopened it, and it's now opening until it reaches to the point it opens, and now it becomes open. But when we close it, nothing happened. But when we reopen it again, it will tell us to close, that it's now closing, then it's gonna be closed, and after being closed, actually it never closed, it converts from closing to reopening actually directly, because we never really close it completely. Then it becomes state opening, then it becomes still opening, then until it reaches to open. And now that's not really what should expect, and I'm gonna tell you why does it happen as this approach, like why it's not being, it's closing then it's opening. That really doesn't make sense. If you want back to the home bottom sheet, to where is exactly the camera, we here are unbinding everyone from previous use cases, and that's the reason why it's being closing. So if we comment this out, and now I'm just gonna clear this, and I will open it. All right, now the state is open. Now if we read from this line, like previous state is null, it's in the beginning, now it's gonna be success, opening, it's open, it's opened. All right, so now it's open. Now let's close it. What happened? Nothing happened. Nothing at all happened. Now let's reopen it. Remember, previously when we tried to reopen it, we have been trying to closing, we went to closing state, then opening state. We never reached the closed state. So I'm just gonna open it and see what happens. It crashes. Maybe attempting to bind too many use cases. And now our app crashed. And this is because of our unbind all, which releases all the previous use cases. And this is really expected because you don't really continue to bind over something that already being started. So you need to release the previous use cases. So how can we solve all those issues and bugs where you want to close the camera when when you're when you just collapse state, when you're in collapse state, you want to close the camera, but when you're in expanded state, you want to open the camera. Right, so that's exactly what we're gonna do next, and what we are gonna talk about is called disposable effect, which is a side effect that works with composable functions. I know this video has been long, but you really need to understand why it's important to close the camera, because the camera is taking a lot of resources, and if you kept the camera while it's not being used, then you're doing really bad work optimizing the efficiency of app, which would drain your battery, would drain your resources, would drain your memory, and everything. You should try to minimize, and your goal is to minimize the resources that you're gonna use for the highest possible performance. Thank you a lot for watching, and see you next time.